Welcome to Retiring Well. We've been mapping out a great show for you this week, and we hope you find it very valuable. We're going to kick off the show with tips for things you should do before retirement. You're going to be walking out that door soon. If that's you, make sure you're doing a few of these before you retire. Then we're going to be getting into Medicare Part D. What does that mean, and what are some of the rules and sign-ups and all that good stuff, and things you're not going to want to be missing, especially if you're coming up on 65. Then, what are some tax breaks that maybe you don't know about for seniors? Is there some things that maybe your tax preparer is missing that could be beneficial for you? And wrapping up the show is, when are you going to need that retirement income? It's unlikely you're going to need it all at once, but when will you need it? Stay tuned for all of this and so much more here on Retiring Well.
Retiring Well, brought to you by Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial advisors specializing in retirement planning and serving all of Northern Michigan. Retiring Well, helping you plan for a successful and comfortable retirement. Retiring Well, plan to retire well.
So you're fortunate, you're getting ready to retire. You're leading up to that big day where you walk out of your office for the last time or your workplace and you don't have to come back, right? You get to sleep in on Monday, Tuesday, and you're one of those people that maybe your friends are like where they don't even know what day of the week it is anymore, right? You get to retire. So what should you do leading up to that point? Well, one thing, I'm going to give you four main things, but a big topic at the beginning that's not one of the four. And for if you're one of the folks that have watched us over these last 11 years, you probably know what's going to come out of my mouth, but have a plan. We talk about this all the time on the show. Have a retirement plan. You don't want to just all of a sudden walk out of the workplace one last time and say, now what do I do? That plan is got to be detailed and organized. But four little tidbits to take away from this here to kind of maybe you have or haven't thought about. One, retirement budget. What are you going to need to live on in retirement? What do your expenses look like? Maybe for some folks in retirement, expenses might drop a little bit. Some folks, they actually might go up. You got more time. There's maybe some projects you want to do, some travel, some more time with grandkids, hobbies, stuff like that. So really think about that budget and need. The second thing, where's my income going to come from that's going to pay for these things on my budget? You know, am I going to get Social Security? Do I have a pension? How am I going to turn my retirement savings, 401k, 403bs, IRAs, the likes, into a paycheck? Have all those things planned out. The other thing is know when your, let's call them benefits, are going to expire. So when you're still working, you know, how long is your company health insurance, as an example, going to last? Sometimes it's the day you retire. Other times maybe they keep you through the end of that month. So, you know, when you think about expensive health plans and health costs, stuff like that, if you have a procedure or stuff, and get some of that stuff done in advance while you still maybe have hopefully good insurance and, you know, depending upon that, dental cleaning, stuff like that, eye exams, all the likes there. Also, life insurance. Some companies carry life insurance on. Are you going to have an expiration of that? And do you need to consider picking something else up on your own privately? And then also maybe company perks, maybe like a flexible spending account. Other people have paid time off or something. So go through all those things that maybe are specific to your company and make sure that you're taking advantage of those and not letting something expire or go unused. And lastly, think about your retirement accounts. What are you going to do when you retire or prior to retirement with that? You know, are you going to move that to something else? Some of that may be dependent upon your age at retirement and looking at the advantages and disadvantages of that. Other times, what is the availability? Some companies allow you to keep it there. Some companies want you to. Do you want professional advisor to take care of that and all the likes? So heading into retirement, lots to think about out there. Exciting time, but don't miss some of these crucial things that can make sure your retirement is a success. Give us a call at the number on the screen. We'd love to walk through this journey with you and help you plan to retire well.
Hey, you know, a lot of times, what do you need to do before you retire? It's a common question. It creates a lot of conversations at your job or amongst different parties. You know, I hear a lot of times people using different four-letter words when they're describing their experiences at work or in life or so forth. So, you know, what I tell them, I'm like, okay, the best four-letter word you can actually have is plan. You need to plan to retire well. And what does that look like? What does that involve? a lot, okay? And there's a lot of different areas that you need to kind of look into to make sure that that plan goes according to what you're trying to achieve in retirement. And so, you know, we kind of have a process here where there's 5 different very important parts from, hey, what does your income right now look like? What is your income going to look like in retirement? What are your investments? How are those structured? What are your options right now? We can teach you what our options, being independent, we can give you. The next thing is tax planning. Okay, what's your current tax bracket? Are you doing any tax bracket optimization? What's your long-term tax plan? Healthcare, what is that going to look like? And then finally, what does your estate or legacy plan look like? You have a specific example for us?
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to a budget for me. I mean, that's like the first thing that we need to tackle. And so many times out of the Gaylord office, we have people come in and they don't really know what their budget is. And it's really hard to determine a great retirement plan if we don't know what you need, right? So that's where I always suggest people start, is come up with that solid budget. You might not have all the answers yet because you don't really know what it looks like when you're not really working, but just sitting down and understanding where your money's going is so important when you're getting ready to retire. Great example of this, I had a client out at Indian River, and they had so many different buckets of money that they didn't know, okay, where am I getting the money from to pay these different fixed costs that they had. Once we determined their budget, their expenses, plus the various income sources that they had out there, it became so clear that they were more than ready to retire. So just, again, start with that budget and then go from there is our recommendation. So I hope you found that valuable. Coming up next, we're going to be talking about Medicare prescription medication, Part D plan, and then also tax breaks for seniors. You don't want to miss it.
At Centennial Wealth Advisory, we take a holistic approach to your retirement planning. So it's not just looking at what your investments are, but what is that long-term income plan for the next 30, 40 years of your retirement? What about taxes and what role they play in your retirement plan? Estate planning, what about life insurance, health insurance planning, all key areas to consider when looking at your retirement. So please visit our website or call the number on the screen. We'd love the opportunity to sit down with you for a no-cost, no-obligation visit.
Hi, today I'd like to talk about one specific part of Medicare called Medicare Part D, or prescription drug plans. Medicare drug coverage helps you to pay for your prescription drugs, and it is a federally enacted program, but the available plans themselves are going to be administered and offered by private insurance companies. Now, Part D is optional, but if you decide not to get it when you're first eligible and you don't have other credible prescription drug coverage, like drug coverage from an employer or from a union, you'll likely have to pay a late enrollment penalty if you join a plan later. Generally, you'll pay this late penalty for as long as you have Medicare drug coverage. You don't want to be stuck paying this for the rest of your life. I met with a client earlier this summer who was not taking any medications when she turned 65 a couple of years ago. And she, at that time, chose not to enroll in a Part D plan. Now, forward to this year, she's recently been prescribed some medications from her doctor and called me to get enrolled in a Part D plan, only to find that she now has to pay this late penalty each month, and it will never go away. This was an avoidable situation had she been given the right information during her initial enrollment. So all Part D plans must cover a wide range of prescription drugs, including most drugs in certain protected classes, like drugs to treat cancer or to treat HIV or AIDS. It's important that when you're selecting a Part D plan, that you elect a plan that includes your specific medications on its formulary to make sure that your drugs are covered and you're getting them at the best price available to you. One question that I get a lot is, what if my prescriptions change in the future? Can I switch plans? The answer is yes. You can switch your Part D plan during the open enrollment period, which occurs each year from October 15th through December 7th. That's your window to make any changes to your plan for the entire remainder of the next year. Because the rates and formularies can change from year to year for each plan, it is recommended that all Medicare beneficiaries review their Part D plan with a trusted professional each year during open enrollment, especially if your medications have changed. If you have questions about enrolling in a Part D drug plan or want to take a closer look at changing plans during the open enrollment period, please give us a call. We'd love to sit down and have a talk with you.
Many years ago, I was a proud card-carrying member of the PGA. Things change and times change, obviously, but now I get to be out on the golf course and just enjoy it. And you know, one of the things that I've come across is that, you know, there's a lot of different parallels between golf and life, and also golf and investing. And when we look at a golf bag here, we've got 14, at least that's the maximum, but 14 different clubs in the bag. And they all serve a certain purpose on the golf course. And you may not need them from time to time, but when you do, it's very important. Take the 5-iron, for example. In my bag, I rarely use the 5-iron, but if I need to hit it 210 yards, that's the club I'm going to. It might be a few rounds before I actually use that club, but if I didn't have it in the bag, I'd sure miss it when that specific shot came along. And that can be said about investing as well. You know, you're not just using one tool in the investment world. You're using a multitude of different tools, and they all serve a specific purpose. Whether it's you got the safety in fixed annuities, or in the bond market, you want that more conservative rate of return, or in the stocks where you're going after more aggressive growth. All these different tools in your portfolio are there for a reason. You may not use them all the time, but they're there to serve a specific purpose, and you want to make sure that you're fully diversified. Just like on the golf course, I'd hate to play an entire round with a putter unless I'm Mark Canfield.
What can Retirement Analyzer do for you? Retirement Analyzer is a software tool that can help you prepare today for your financial future. You've worked hard to save for your retirement, but as you near your retirement, you may have concerns. Have I positioned my retirement savings wisely? Have I saved enough for retirement, and will my savings last throughout my lifetime? What impact could inflation have on my future expenses? What if I suffer a long-term illness? Will I have enough money to cover my medical care expenses and still be able to meet my other financial obligations? Could changes in the income tax rates disrupt my retirement strategy? There's no need to be in the dark as you prepare for your retirement. Retirement Analyzer can help you find answers to all these questions and more. The first step is providing us with information on your financial assets, the type and current value of those assets, as well as your sources of income. Then, we work with you to identify your expected expenses in retirement. This will include a discussion of the lifestyle you envision in retirement, travel, a summer residence, whatever you dream your retirement will be. We'll input the information you provide us into the Retirement Analyzer, and in a very short time we'll have reports that show us the percentage of assets currently in high-risk vehicles as well as the percent in lower-risk products. Retirement Analyzer enables us to project your income from year to year in your retirement and see how long your retirement savings may last. As we change the conditions of the report, delaying your retirement date, including costs for long-term care, adjusting the expected tax rate, or adjusting your retirement strategies, we can see how changes in these variables may impact your income in retirement and the longevity of your retirement savings. Let the Retirement Analyzer help you test drive your retirement strategy today, because the time to discover the bumps in the road is not once your trip through retirement has begun. Contact our office today to schedule an appointment for your Retirement Analyzer review.
So after age 50 and especially after age 65, you may be able to qualify for some additional tax breaks. So let's walk through some of those. There's especially the bigger standard deduction after you reach age 65. So it's in 2022, that was an additional $1,400 each, or $2,800 for a married couple. If you have a lower income, there may be some different tax credits available for you if you're under probably approximately $25,000 for a married household. And at age 50, you can start contributing an additional $1,000 into your IRA or Roth IRA for a total of $7,000 in 2022. Meanwhile, you have 401k, 403b, 457. You have what's called catch-up contributions, where you can do an additional $6,500, ultimately to max out at $27,000 per year in 2022. Another key age is age 59 and a half, where the 10% early withdrawal penalty for taking withdrawals out of your IRA or other qualified plans goes away. So again, that key age for you is 59 and a half, where that opens things up. Meanwhile, one thing to be aware of is it doesn't prevent you from converting from IRA to Roth prior to 59 and a half, but you'd want to be careful of how you're paying the taxes for that Roth conversion. So you'd want to talk to a professional about that. If you leave your job at age 55 or older and you still have a 401k plan with that employer, it does open up opportunities where you can start taking withdrawals from that plan without penalties. Another area is qualified charitable distribution. So beginning at age 70 and a half, you have the ability to give any amount up to $100,000 from your IRA, and there's no tax implication. So if you're already, say, receiving the standard deduction and not getting a write-off for any charitable distributions that you're doing, a smart way to consider is maybe taking that money from your traditional IRA or taxable dollars and gifting that, which is then a non-taxable event for you, as well as a non-taxable event for that church or charity that's receiving those funds. Another piece is at age 55 and above, you can increase your HSA or health savings account contributions by $1,000 up to $4,650 in 2022, which would then allow you some future tax-free distributions from the health savings account down the road. So again, there's a lot of different tax breaks and things that you want to be made aware of, and I'm curious if you know of all of those different advantages. If not, you're welcome to give us a call here at Centennial Wealth Advisory.
Hey, another great segment on Medicare Part D. What does that look like? How does it impact you? Recently, I've been working with a client out of Big Rapids. She came up, she's approaching Medicare age and wanted to know what her options were. So we sat down here in the Cadillac office. We said, okay, here's the supplement plan, here's the Advantage plan, and then we dove into what she was trying to accomplish at this phase of her retirement. It made sense for her to go on the Medigap plan with Plan G, and we shopped the different providers, and for this particular case, in this particular situation, Aetna was the best Medigap plan for her, based on her zip code. And so then we went over to the drug plan and we said, okay, are you on any prescriptions? And she said, no, fortunately I'm super healthy and I don't have any prescriptions. And she goes, I don't have a crystal ball. I wish I could know if anything was coming up in the future for me from a medication standpoint. But because she didn't have any medications that she needed, we also found that Aetna for that particular drug plan was also the cheapest. And so that's what she signed up for. But I know, Nick, you had a little different situation that was much tougher.
Yeah, I had a somewhat similar situation with a gentleman out of Alpena. He again wasn't taking any kind of medication, so we signed him up for the bare bones Aetna plan. It was less than $10 per month. Unfortunately, a few months ago, he was prescribed some pretty expensive medication, and because he had that plan with Aetna that was more bare bones, the coverage wasn't the greatest for those new meds that he was taking. Now, he wasn't just stuck with that plan for the rest of his life. Now that we're in the annual enrollment period, we can make some changes to that, because I mean, you don't have that crystal ball. You don't know what life is going to bring. In this gentleman's case, there was a little bit of good news that we had out there as well. I informed him about GoodRx. I don't know if you're familiar with that at all, but it's basically a coupon service. So you can just go to GoodRx.com and you can type in the various medications that you have right on the top of that search bar there, and typically you're going to find some great discounts on those different medications that you have. So I mean, if you do sign up for a lower cost Part D plan because you're not really on any medications, and then something does come up, just understand you'll have to wait until the next annual enrollment period to switch over, but there are other options out there for you as well. All right, I hope you found that valuable. Stay tuned. Coming up next, we're going to be talking about when to take income in retirement.
Living life isn't always easy. It puts up challenges and obstacles you'll have to overcome. There are responsibilities. You put in effort to provide and take care of your family, and to save and invest, to balance work and life. Planning is the first step to succeeding. Plan to retire well. If you like watching Retiring Well, make sure to go to youtube.com/retiringwell and click the subscribe button to never miss any of our TV shows and other informative videos.
So I want to talk about, when will you need your retirement income? So this kind of has been brought about over these, it seems like I've had a lot of initial meetings with folks that are coming in for the first time and they're getting ready to retirement, and there's kind of a mindset of, oh my gosh, I'm going to need all my savings all at once. Well, that's unlikely. I mean, sure, it could happen that way, but think of it. You know, you've probably saved for 20, 30, 40 years. You've been putting money away, hoping to get to this day of retirement, right? Well, now you've reached that point of retirement and we want to turn this savings into a paycheck. Well, when are you going to need that? Well, day one of retirement, it's unlikely you're going to need all of your retirement savings. If you do, we probably got big issues, right? This is probably going to be a long-term thing. You may be in retirement 10, 20, 30 years or more, depending upon that. It's funny, one of our clients was in joking the other day with me, and he was kind of bragging that he had now been, he's been getting up there in age a little bit, and he was bragging how he's been collecting his pension longer than he worked for one of the automakers. And how neat is that, to have that longevity there? But also at the same time, it's a little scary, right? That you might be retired almost as long as you've been working. So again, when do we need this retirement income? Probably over time. And so your retirement plan needs to have this mapped out. So how is it going to generate income for that long time? How are you not going to be subject to too much risk so we don't have great fluctuation in this plan? And also, what buckets or what accounts should we be drawing out of this, when and where? Remember, depending upon how it's structured, maybe you got different taxable types of accounts, or it would make sense to do some tax planning. So various dollar amounts depending upon the years may make a lot of sense in that, with different amounts. So again, my main takeaway for you with this is, When do I need this income? Probably over time, not all at once. So when we enter retirement, there's still likely time on your side, hopefully, that you still are a long-term investor for this. So we need your money to last us a long time. So there likely still needs to be some growth and other various stuffs in there. So don't get trapped in the thought that I'm just getting ready to retire or I'm heading into retirement and I'm gonna need all this money at once. Because guess what? If you use it all day one, there's probably a lot of time left that's gonna be hard to do that. So again, having a retirement plan that's holistic and very comprehensive to your situation is vitally important. We'd love to sit down with you and walk through that plan and build that income, investment, tax, estate, and insurance plan for you so you can plan to retire well.
Hey, hopefully you found that valuable when it comes to when are we going to start that income in retirement? How much are we going to take? When are we going to take it? You know, one of the powerful tools that we have here at Centennial Wealth Advisory is an income planning tool called Retirement Analyzer, and it will map out your retirement income from where you are right now in pre-retirement, what your income, all the way till you're over 100 years old. And many times our clients love to see their year-by-year analysis. Recently I had a client, they retired and then they sold their house and they moved down to Florida. And we've been on multiple Zooms just talking through, you know, some of the fears that they had. They had a lot of unknown. They didn't know what the costs were going to be. They didn't know how much it was going to be to live down there. New place, you know, new activities, all of that stuff. And but we were prepared. We were prepared with our income plan where some of their fears were addressed because they could see which account is going to be coming from. And now we're starting to talk longevity. Okay, now we want to make this plan work for the next 20 to 30 years of your unemployment life.
Yeah, that Retirement Analyzer software program is so powerful because it allows you to really visualize where that income is coming from. And it also has a little tax planning feature in there as well that's very beneficial. I had a recent case out of the Petoskey office where a couple came in, they just retired, they had a sizable mortgage still left on the house, and that was one of their goals is, okay, I want to pay that off right now. I want the peace of mind of being debt free. Well, through that Retirement Analyzer program, we were able to show them, okay, what does it look like from a tax side if we were to pull all that money from their IRA, being it's a large taxable hit, right? If you pull out over $100,000 at one time, that's going to bump them up into the next tax bracket. So they were able to visually see, okay, it's in their best interest to maybe pay off that mortgage over 2 or 3 years instead of just as soon as they retire, take all that income right at one time. So again, if you found any of this information valuable or you want to see that Retirement Analyzer program, you want to put your figures in there and kind of get a picture of what your retirement would look like, please don't hesitate to give the number on the screen a call and ask for a free, no obligation consultation. We'd love to just dive into those numbers with you and help you plan to retire well. All right, well, come back next week, same station, same time. We've got a lot more great information for you.